the Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings 2021 Week 7 Waiver Wire Pickup Rankings, Injuries, Running Back Snap Count, Monday Night Football, DraftKing Showdown Picks, some bets, plus the life advice segment that people so thoroughly enjoy. If you want your question answered, go to thepatmayoexperience@gmail.com. If it's good, it'll get on the show. Always hit the time codes to find out what you're looking for. Remember to smash the like button for the episode in the comment section. Please leave your favorite buy low or sell high, or both, for the rest of the fantasy football season. And subscribe, for the love of God, to the Mayo Media Network on YouTube. We're almost at 30,000 subs. We need your help to get up there, so please subscribe to Mayo Media Network. Let's jump into the Week 7 waiver wire, starting with running backs. If you're looking for the full list and rankings where they get updated should news change, that's up on dknation.com. But I have been so kind to place the link in the description of this so you can follow along with me as you see fit. Also, if you're looking for the injury cheat sheet, the snap shares, the routes run for tight ends, the air yards for receivers, all the game notes, that's on the Substack. That's also in the description right now as well. Free to look at. You can sub to the newsletter. Please do that while you're down there too. So running backs for the week in terms of injuries, we had Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Chris Carson, and Christian McCaffrey all placed on injured reserve. They will miss at least 3. Well, they just missed a week, so they miss at least 2 more games being on injured reserve. Samaje Perine and Damian Williams missed the week because of a COVID-19 positive test. They'll have to do a double negative in order to get back this week. We'll see how that goes. Keep an eye on what they're up to. Nick Chubb missed week 6, as did Saquon Barkley. They could both play in week 7. And then you have Latavius Murray, who left the game against the Chargers with an ankle injury. It was late in the game. I don't know how serious it is. We'll have to get more of an update on him moving forward. But as of right now, I think that he's fine. So let's just roll with Latavius Murray being okay for week 7. The big one, though, is Kareem Hunt. Was carted off from the Blue medical tent with a calf injury. They say it's not Achilles, but I'm going to wait for the MRI to see if there actually is an Achilles problem for Kareem Hunt. I'd say at least missing week 7, probably more time for Kareem Hunt. So that didn't work out the way that any of us wanted it to work out. Now, did it with Kareem Hunt? So that's like 3. It's 5 games without Nick Chubb the past 2 seasons. And I think he scored in single-digit fantasy points in 3 of those 5 games. So maybe let's not line up and go play Kareem Hunt next time as an elite play. A good play, maybe not an elite play. For the actual pickup rankings, I'll put some color on them in a bit, but the top 10 are Elijah Mitchell, Alex Collins, Latavius Murray, J.D. McKissick, Sony Michel, Jeremy McNichols, Jared Patterson, Dearness Johnson, Samaje Perine, and and Le'Veon Bell at number 10. He could go up higher if there is more of an injury to Latavius Murray. It's not great to have to play Le'Veon Bell, but there's 6 teams on bye this week, including some pretty good teams. You got Buffalo, Dallas, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, the Chargers, Jacksonville. I mean, those are 5 starting running backs, plus Zach Moss, plus Tony Pollard, plus Devin Singletary, that you all may consider using in your lineups or have been using in your lineup. So pick wisely here. Elijah Mitchell is available in 41% of leagues. Somehow, I don't know how that's possible. If he is available in your league, spend your fab money. Go get Elijah Mitchell. He's the starting running back for the 49ers. You will want to play him. He's a top 20 option this week. Play him. Alex Collins is actually a little bit like Nick Chubb in a weird way. Clearly not as good or as good of a fantasy player. But the way that Alex Collins' role sets up without Chris Carson is very much like Nick Chubb's would set up without Kareem Hunt, is that they're going to be the primary ball carriers. So you can expect them between 15 and 25 touches per game, depending on game script. Now, Chubb, obviously a much higher ceiling because he's better and that team is better and they're more likely to be in positive game scripts moving forward. But the other big thing with Nick Chubb in this circumstance is that without Kareem Hunt, you're not going to see a ton of Dearness Johnson. You're not going to see a ton of Demetric Felton on the field, only in very clear passing situations. So 2-minute drills, or if they're down by like 25 in a game. Neutral situation or down by like a score or less, Nick Chubb is going to be on the field, and that will increase his target share through osmosis of just being out there and Kareem Hunt not spelling him in this circumstance, because they're not going to turn around and hand the ball off to to Felton. It's just not happening. They're going to use, that's why they have Chubb. It's to use him in this role. So instead of having like 1 or 2 targets per game, let's call that 4 or 5 targets per game now, which means like 3 to 4 catches, because those are very high percentage catches for him. And then you tack on the yardage, the potential to score more touchdowns based on the increased touch load. That's like an extra like 4 to 6 points per game for Nick Chubb on top of what he's normally doing. And you expect his volume to go up in that circumstance as well. So this is a huge boost for Nick Chubb. He's like a very like lockdown top 5 guy if he's playing and Kareem Hunt is out. Alex Collins is very much in a similar situation. It's just the Seahawks are no good. So that's an issue that he's going to play like 60 to 80% of the snaps, far more when they're winning, but he's going to carry the ball 15 to 25 times a game, depending on that game script. And that is huge. He is not really involved in the receiving game, but if they're winning and he is out there a ton, he could backdoor his way into like 2, 3, 4 targets per game. But generally, he will not be used in passing situations. We saw that Sunday evening where it wasn't even Travis Homer. It was DJ Wiki Dallas with the 5 catches, 2-minute drill, end of the game, down by a ton. DJ Dallas on the field catching passes from Geno Smith. Very easy receptions against prevent defenses too, trying to prevent a gigantic play from happening. So it would be DJ Dallas over Travis Homer if you were looking for a pure PPR back fill-in for this week and moving forward while Chris Carson is out. Unless, I mean, this could all change week to week, but that's just the way that it seems to be setting up at the moment. In the Washington backfield, Antonio Gibson has this shin injury. I don't know if he's going to miss time, but it seems like he's eventually going to miss time with this. And that's why Patterson comes in at number 7, because I think that he would take over like 80% of the Gibson role, which again is primarily between the tackles, carrying the ball, goal line work, maybe a few catches. But this is just going to be a boon for J.D. McKissic regardless. Instead of having like 1 carry per game, he'll be between like 3 and 6 now, which is substantially more than he was getting before. And he could probably pencil him in for like 4 to 8 targets per game as well. He's going to be like a fringe top 25 PPR back as long as Antonio Gibson's shin just prevents him from being explosive. They're limiting his numbers anyway, but he's just not looking good on the field. So eventually he's going to get shut down preemptively. Patterson would be the handcuff pickup, but the role for J.D. McKissic is going to balloon, not out of control, but balloon a bit enough to make him a viable fantasy player moving forward. Michelle and Jeremy McNichols, the 2 primary handcuffs right now in all of football that are unowned. Should anything happen to the starter, they're looking pretty good at the moment. So, Sony Michelle, number 5, Jeremy McNichols, number 6, Jared Patterson, number 7. Again, DKNation.com or hit the description to find the entire list. Wide receiver injuries from week 6. What we're dealing with is Odell Beckham had the shoulder injury, left, ended up coming back in the game. Jarvis Landry was activated off injured reserve, could not play in week 6, but could play in week 7. It is a short turnaround week for the Browns. They play on Thursday Night Football, so we're not going to get a ton of practice reports from them because they're probably going to be resting because they're hurt. Same as Baker. So all 3 of them could play. None of the 3 of them play. I'd say that Baker and Odell probably for sure play. Landry may play. So keep an eye on that moving forward. Paris Campbell hurt his foot. No word on how long he's going to be out. T.Y. Hilton got injured at the end of that blowout, a non-contact quad injury. He went down. Doesn't look good for T.Y. Hilton, who actually did look good in his return to football, but it's not going to be a great circumstance. So this is going to be a boost up for Michael Pittman and Mo Alley Cox, who saw their stocks diminish with Campbell being more involved and T.Y. Hilton returning. Kadarius Toney entered the game as, a game time decision with his ankle injury, and he played. He's going to start. Then he immediately left the game with an ankle injury. Kenny Golladay didn't play in this game. Darius Slayton didn't play in this game. All 3 of those guys could play next week. We'll have to wait and see throughout the course of the week. CJ Board in this game had to get a cast on his arm. He's done. So it's basically just like Sterling Shepard out there. Dante Pettis is catching passes on this team right now. So as long as Tony is out, Shepard is the guy that you want to be playing, regardless of the other guys being in or being out. Chris Conley hurt his neck in the Texans game. That allowed more snaps for Nico Collins and to a lesser extent Chris Moore for the Texans. Mike Williams, the Chargers are going on bye. He should be good coming out of the bye week. Sammy Watkins missed week 6 with a hamstring injury. No word yet on whether he'll return for week 7, especially now that Boykin and Rashad Bateman have returned. Curtis Samuel is going to miss some more time for Washington. Diami Brown played for Washington, so that's the guy. I mean, you don't want him, but that's the guy filling in for like the quote-unquote Samuel role right now, him and Adam Humphries. Devontae Parker missed week 6 in London. He should play week 7 against Atlanta. We'll see. Will Fuller, he's on IR. Should Parker sit again? The pecking order for the Dolphins looks like Jalen Waddle, Mike Gesicki, Gap, Mac Hollins, then nobody would ever consider playing. Mac Hollins, you could theoretically play, I guess, if Parker was out. Parker, you can probably play if you end up going in. Wide receiver pickups for the week, I still have Tim Patrick at number 1. Tim Patrick is good. Tim Patrick produces every week. Tim Patrick has been a top 36 receiver this year. He should be playing on your team. He shouldn't just be on the waiver wire. Tim Patrick is a solid player. Pick him up and play him. He good. Play him. Rashad Bateman is number 2. I worry about the overall volume just because of the dearth of volume on the Ravens passing offense. They want to run the ball. They're good at running the ball. So Bateman, I think he just takes away from probably Mark Andrews and Marquise Brown at this point. Just more players trying to eat on a limited amount of passes that really quells the upside of a lot of players. So this is a first round talent. I'd still be willing to risk it. I wouldn't just be like, hey, I'm picking up Rashad Bateman and playing him this week. I'd want to wait and see, but I do think his upside is high enough that you should get him on your team. Like specifically, I think he has a higher upside than someone like Jamison Crowder, who I have at number 3, but Crowder's a much better play this week if you need someone to plug and play. He's 3, Hunter Renfrow is 4, Marquez Callaway is number 5. Here's the sneaky thing. Michael Thomas and Traquan might return from injured reserve and play for the Saints in Week 7 Monday night against the Seahawks. Marquez Callaway is destined to be a wide receiver 2. He is not a wide receiver 1. In the preseason, when you get to run against the 6th-team offenses or defenses of the opposition, yeah, you can look like a number 1. Against real defenses, not happening. So with Michael Thomas returning, this allows Callaway to play a more natural role of catching bubble screens and trying to make people miss with his speed or just burning it down the field. 2 routes that Jameis can throw, and he's not going to be seeing primary coverage with Michael Thomas back. I mean, pick up Michael Thomas if he's still out there. He's not in 90% of leagues, but if he is in yours, pick up Michael Thomas, obviously. But Callaway stands to benefit here over Traquan, at least in my mind. Then 6 through 10, Gallup, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Van Jefferson, Darnell Mooney, Christian Kirk. Michael Gallup will be on bye this week, but he will be activated from injured reserve. He should return in Week 8. People are going to see this just kind of going by the wayside. Pick up Michael Gallup. You could probably play Michael Gallup. Cedric Wilson was getting run. Cedric Wilson will not be playing anymore. It will be Michael Gallup on that team if he is activated and active for the game in Week 8. After that, in deeper leagues, you got Khalif Raymond, Jamal Agnew, Rondell Moore, Nico Collins, KJ Osborne. They're fine, but deep league only at receiver in that circumstance. Tight ends, the news and injury notes. Travis Kelce kept coming in and out of the game with his hand injury. He still went 7 for 99. He'll be okay, but something to watch moving forward. His backup, Jody Fortson, blew out his Achilles. He's done for the season, so just more time for Kelce. Hopefully they don't ask him to block too much because that's when he kept getting hurt. Dallas Goedert and Rob Gronkowski could both return in Week 7 with Dallas Goedert now without Zach Ertz, now in Arizona. Coming off of COVID-19. Then you have Rob Gronkowski with that ribs injury. He came close to playing last Thursday night after 10 days off. He should return for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this week. So in terms of overall pickups, it's still Ricky Seals-Jones who's available in 80% of leagues. Until Logan Thomas comes back, he's a top 10 tight end. Play him, pick him up. Pat Freiermuth, yes, the Steelers are on bye this week, but the role that everyone thought, oh man, Chase Claypool without Juju, look at all the targets. No, Claypool did exactly what he always does. Claypool is better when Deontay Johnson doesn't play. Without Juju, it was Pat Freiermuth who is the new safety blanket. He's going to see an uptick in routes. He's going to see an uptick in receptions and yardage. I think he's a viable top 12 guy when the Steelers return from their bye week. So go pick him up and put him on your bench if you need a tight end. If not, you got Dan Arnold, also on bye. Ross Dwelly coming back. We don't know if it's Trey or Jimmy playing quarterback yet. Ross Dwelly filling in for the injured reserve George Kittle at the moment. Has always been a pretty good play while George Kittle has been out. Hunter Henry at 5. Then you got Mo Alley-Cox, Zach Ertz now on Arizona. Tyler Conklin, Evan Ingram, and CJ Secret of the Uzma at number 10. Zach Ertz might score a bunch of touchdowns. Who knows? But there are frankly too many options on this team. And Max Williams was an athletic tight end who was making a very particular set of plays, much like Liam Neeson and Taken. He has a very particular set of skills. So does Zach Ertz, but it's not great for fantasy. It's great for like 4 for 21 yards and hopefully a touchdown. That's not what I want to go with here. Quarterback injuries. Baker hurt his shoulders, non-throwing shoulder again. It's Thursday Night Football. He's probably going to play, but keep an eye on him. He's clearly not 100%. He doesn't look good. So QB streams for the week. Tannehill, number 1, playing Kansas City. Tua, number 2, playing Atlanta. Jameis at number 3. Derek Carr at number 4. Mac Jones at number 5, Trey Lance and or Jimmy Garoppolo just at number 6. We'll wait and see who ends up getting the start in that game. I think they're a viable play if you want to roll them out. Then Sam Darnold at number 7 for the streamers this week. Streaming defenses, I got New England, New Orleans, Arizona, Carolina, and Green Bay all available in over 40% of leagues right now. New England shouldn't be, but they were dropped en masse because they were playing Dallas, but now they get the Jets, so that's great news. Jake and I will have our wired defense rankings on the ranking show, as we always do, and that will come out before waivers. So if you just want to contrast and compare the rankings to who is available in your league, as it will happen before waivers actually goes, then that's probably a circumstance that you want to be in. Big bye week troubles this week for a lot of the teams, so you might have to play a crappy defense this week. Hopefully, it's someone like Arizona and they're playing Houston, and that's going to be great news because Davis Mills kind of reeks. That will do it for the waiver wire pickups. Again, the cheat sheet will be updated. You can find that in the description. And for all the snap counts, everything like that, if you want to know the top 3 in snap share at running back this week, it was Khalil Herbert, James Robinson, and Najee Harris, all between 85 and 90% of the snaps. If there's no Damian Williams again this week, fire up some Khalil Herbert. He was not bad against the Packers. Much better than I thought that he was going to be. So that will do it for the waiver portion. Let's move into Monday Night Football. Bills at Titans. The spread has now dropped to -6 for the Bills on the road. That's from DraftKings Sportsbook. Actually, it's now 6.5 is the total. The spread just keeps moving towards the Buffalo Bills. Jeff and I both picked Buffalo -5.5 on the Wednesday show for the spread pick show. If we get it, we go 9-5 for the week, the two of us. So that'd be nice. The Titans at +5.5 are Cuss Super Lock, if you need to know how that is moving. We'll get into the DraftKing Showdown picks here momentarily, but I wanted to walk through some props. This is a same game parlay from DraftKings Sportsbook. Code PME will get you a bonus at DraftKingsSportsbook.com right now. And here's what I played. The one thing that you need to know is, let's see here. A.J. Brown may or may not play in this game. He's dealing with an illness that was reported on Sunday. I'm guessing he's going to go, but he already mentioned that he's going to be on a snap count, so I don't have the highest hopes in the world for A.J. Brown, so I've took an alternate spread on him under 74.5 receiving yards. I have an alternate rushing spread on Ryan Tannehill over 13 yards rushing, which he's gone over in 4 of 5 games. Derrick Henry, anytime touchdown. Zach Moss, anytime touchdown. Over 53.5 points total in this game. I played Bills alternate spread -9.5 as a part of this same game parlay. I don't love each of these individually, but if we're trying to juice everything up, you can see I had over 29.5 Zach Moss rushing yards. That was an alternate line. So I have changed that. Let's see what we're doing at right now. So those 6 picks I just gave you would make it 30-1 as a same game parlay. I do want to see what they've updated the rushing prop of Zach Moss to. So, now they're giving me, it's not even alternates. You can go overs or unders. I'll go, let's see. You know what? I am going to go over 39.5. So we throw that into a 7-game parlay right now. Same game parlay at DraftKingsSportsbook.com. And that gives you 40-1. So, I don't mind that one so much. You can see if you're watching the video version of the show, you can see it on the screen, obviously. If you're listening to the audio version, I'll do a quick rundown for you again. Over 13 Ryan Tannehill rushing yards. Under 74.5 A.J. Brown receiving yards. Derrick Henry, anytime touchdown. Zach Moss, anytime touchdown. Over 53.5 total points in the game. Bills alternate spread, -9.5. Over 39.5 rushing yards for Zach Moss. I wonder if we have A.J. Brown receptions in this game. Receiving props, A.J. Brown receiving yards. And they're now no longer giving an over, there it is, over-under receiving yards. You can do an alternate for him. A.J. Brown receptions, they're only giving us overs, no unders to deal with. I'd want to go unders in that circumstance. So that's the same game parlay. I don't have a ton of interest in this game, honestly, from a betting perspective. It would have to be something like a 40-1 bet, to get the juices flowing. What I do have interest in, however, is PrizePicks.com. If you're a first-time player at PrizePicks.com right now, then you can use code MMNNFL to take advantage of a huge bonus free money play this weekend. So prizepicks.com, code MMNNFL for first-time depositors. You get a match deposit of up to $100. So you deposit $100, you get $200. So you're up $100 to begin with. And if you play any Monday Night Football entry from this game and Derrick Henry rushes for 1 or more yards, you get an extra $25. So I've already played my Prize Picks entry, but we'll recreate it for you right now. If you do play Prize Picks, you have to play from 2 to 5 picks and need at least one player from each game if you want to go ahead with that. But you can play a bunch from this game if you want to. I went with Zach Moss over 41.5 rushing yards. I really wanted to go with rushing touchdowns, but he wasn't available. But I will take Derrick Henry over 0.5 rushing touchdowns. So again, you get your free $25 offer. Let's just pump that up to $25 right now. So 25 to win 75 with these two picks. They're not my two favorites though, because they're going to be on the ticket, obviously. I told you, Ryan Tannehill has gone over 17 rushing yards in 4 of 5 games. So over 16.5 rushing yards. We'll take the over in that. And then I really like, my favorite one is that A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown under 4.5 receptions. Snap count already limited. All 4 of those hit. You win $250. I've already played this exact entry for $25, coming off a nice winner that I gave out on Friday's show. So let's see if we can roll this forward. We're getting greedy, playing 4 at once. This is a power play, not a flex play. If you play a flex play, you only need 3 of them right. 3 right pays 1.5 times your money, and all 4 right pays 5 times. You get that out of getting one wrong. But I want to do the power play. Get 10 times my money on this one, so 25 to win 250. And again, it's a free play if you use code MMNNFL at prizepicks.com. So again, highly recommend that you do that. Let's shift over to, oh, there are my optimals. I already ran everything. So let's go to the inputs for runthesims.com. Runthesims.com/Mayo gets you a discount, and obviously you can use the classic full slate optimizer. This is the DIY simulator HQ where you run single game showdown. You can run it for the entire game, second half DraftKings, fourth quarter DraftKings. It is all there for you. And I've customized everything I've wanted to do off the baseline. So you can use the baseline projections, or you can customize everything the way that you want. So I've adjusted the point score, the pace, the rushing rate, and gone through a lot of the players and already adjusted them. So I have the Bills scoring 37 points in this game. I have the Titans scoring 27 points in this game. So a 10-point win for the Buffalo Bills is the story that I'm telling myself for showdown purposes this week. Pace, 65 plays for the Bills, fast-paced team, and playing catch-up. I got 67 for the Tennessee Titans, a rushing rate of 40% for the Titans, a rushing touchdown ratio of 50%. That's what happens when you got Derrick Henry on your team. And anything you see in gray on the screen right now has been adjusted from the baseline. So I'm not giving away the goods here of Run the Sims. I'm telling you what I am doing with Run the Sims for my showdown lineups. I have the Bills at a rushing rate of 33% and a rushing touchdown rate of 35%. I've adjusted Zach Moss up to 45% of the market share of rushes for the Bills, 25% for Singletary and Josh Allen, and then Isaiah McKenzie in at 2% because, why not in that circumstance. Rushing touchdown rate, 46% for Zach Moss. That's up. Devin Singletary down to 10% with Josh Allen right around 40%. I kept all the baselines intact for the Bills receiving game, 25% market share for Diggs, 19% for Sanders, 17% for Beasley, 14% for Dawson Knox, and a couple more for Gabe Davis and Isaiah McKenzie and Jake Kumaro. We all know Beasley did nothing against the Chiefs, so I think that he could be a real hinge showdown play this week as a contrarian option. He's not going to be highly owned. He might suck for all we know, but he's a good price at $5,400. And if we do keep him at the 17% market share of the receiving, when we run the Sims and look at the projections, he's going to pop up pretty well. Now, if you think that it's going to be 30% Diggs, 25% Sanders, 8%, you can change that on Run the Sims, then run your simulations that way. Run it 10,000 times to see what happens, and then see how often Cole Beasley ends up in the optimal. For the Titans side of things, I boosted up Ryan Tannehill to 12% from 10% of the market share of rushes, and I basically just took it away from Kerry Blasingame, who I don't think is going to rush the ball. And you have Mekhi Sargent at 1% of the rushes, but it's Derrick Henry at 80%. That's what we're concerned with, 81% of the touchdowns. Now, in the receiving game, I went in and decreased A.J. Brown from 25% to 12% because I think that he is going under. I don't think he's going to be at 100%. Bumped up Julio to 20%, Marcus Johnson to 14%, Josh Reynolds to 6%, kept Chester Rogers at 8%, and gave 2% to Nick Westbrook-Ikena in this passing offense. Bumped Ferkser up to 8% with Jeff Swaim and Michael Pruitt at 4% and 3% of the market share of passes and targets from Ryan Tannehill. So if we run the Sims on my custom projection for these games, we'll get a better sense of what's going on a lot of the time here. So we have Josh Allen as a 21% captain, 57% flex in the optimals. That's with 10,000 simulations. 85% of the time, Josh Allen is in the lineup. The only other captains above 10%, Derrick Henry and Stefan Diggs at 17 and 15% respectively. They're all above 50% as a captain plus flex in Showdown on DraftKings for Monday Night Football. Outside of that, some interesting ones that pop up. Cole Beasley then becomes fifth, the fifth best captain, the fifth highest owned overall, if you keep him at the 17% rate because of his salary and that 17% target share. That's above Sanders. You see Jeremy McNichols. He's at 33% based on my projection. Zach Moss is better than Julio Jones, but Marcus Johnson pops up a lot of the time too because we gave him a boost with A.J. Brown going down, and he's only $1,400, so he makes it into a lot of lineups. When I look at my custom lineups, again, of the 10,000 simulations, the one that was the most frequent that popped up, 17 out of 10,000 simulations, uses the full $50,000, and the lineup is Stefan Diggs as the captain, Zach Moss, Josh Allen from the Bills side, McNichols, Derrick Henry, and Marcus Johnson from the Titans side. If you want to save at least $500, this lineup pops up 13 times out of 10,000. Not really a great rate, and it has Jeremy McNichols as the captain, so you think a big receiving game from him. It also has Derrick Henry. Very few people are going to pair those two together when we go through things. Then you have Marcus Johnson, Ryan Tannehill, then Diggs and Allen as the correlation from the Bills side of the ball. But, I mean, you can always go back and amend this entire thing to take a look at, hey, maybe you think that the Titans win by 1 in this game and it's like 24-23, and then you can run the Sims on those projections and that pace to see how it goes. So I just put you in a 10-point Bills win to see how all of this goes. Once again, runthesims.com. You can get a discount off of any membership level. I suggest the monthly right now if you want to see how it works and do this for any game, any slate, any site. Completely works out. So runthesims.com/Mayo for that. Now it's time to get to the life advice segment of the Monday show. Once again, if you have questions for me and you think that I can answer them or they're hilarious and you want me to answer them, the PatMayoExperience@gmail.com is where you can drop those. Did one last week about moving to Canada. This week I actually have, one guy said, hey, Pat, I think you should have me on your show. I came second in the Millionaire Maker. Yeah, no thanks, pal. Find your own fucking podcast for that. You're not going to waste my time with that nonsense. I need to talk to you. Congratulations on coming second in the Millionaire Maker. Huge accomplishment. I don't know what you can really tell people about that. That's great for you. Turns out that most people are not great guests, put it that way. But here's a good one from Anthony. It's a two-part question. I'm going to answer part one. Your production setup, equipment do's and don'ts. Maybe a hesitation here to share from you because of competition. I am not concerned about competition ever. I actually help my competition more often than I am terrified of my competition. Competition is good. Even between me, like I see like guys like Holka and Sal and Overzet, like those guys are technically my competition in this space. And we talk to each other all the time and share tips. Rick Gaiman, try to get ourselves better at this stuff. Working together. There's enough out there in a market for all of us to prosper, and helping each other out has really benefited all of us throughout the course of the past few years. So I have no problem with that whatsoever. Actually, to set up Tower Tambolini with what this question is all about. So it's very helpful. I'm super interested in your production quality, whether it's you or you have a guest. Your videos and podcasts are very entertaining. Well, thank you. And easy to consume. I'm looking to do something similar for my own business and a completely unrelated to sports business, and would be super interested to know what goes into the production side of things. High-end options, starter options, something like that. I can break that down for you right now. I can just show you my setup if you want. I'm going to take my phone and I'm going to insert this over because I use Adobe editing products. I can do that after the fact. And it's probably just easier for me to walk you through. Here's my camera. This is a studio camera. And the studio that I'm in right now does not. Hey, look, there I am down at the bottom of the screen. Hi, me. How you doing? Yeah, that's my playback monitor, so I can always tell what's up on the screen. So whether a graphic is up, whether my guest is up, that's how I know whether to look up or down at the camera and know that I'm covered by all that. But this is a Black Magic. It's like a $3,000 camera once you buy the lens. I have a custom lens on that. Again, I should be in my main studio within the next 6 weeks or so, where I'll be moving this camera, and then I'll be downgrading the camera of this room, just because this room's not very big. It's like a 12-foot room. I'm in my house. There's a huge light I have in front of me. But you can see on the walls, I have just moving blankets everywhere. That deadens the sound so there's no echo and makes everything sound full into the microphone. I'm using a Rode microphone. Most people use a Shure microphone. They're both very good. You can test out different options. But I have a huge actual studio production light in front of me. That's why I tend to wear so much makeup in the studio, because if I didn't, it would be a huge glare off my forehead back into the camera, because I have this light and it's so close to me. Where it wasn't in my old studio, it won't be in my new studio, but this room isn't big enough. That's actually as far back against the wall as you can go. So the camera is like 3 feet from my face. I don't like it this close to my face, but this is just how we're going with this. I have a light right here. I have a light right here. This one's more in front of me, hitting the front of my face. This one's more to the side of me to hit this part of my face. So the other one is up here. That one is right here. Then I have another key light behind me, because people always forget to light yourself from behind. That way it stands you out from the background in terms of lighting. Additionally, I have some soundproofing on the floor, and I have these lights on the floor. So there's one here to the right of me, one here to the left of me, and those light both bookshelves behind me, because as you can see, the bookshelves are actually quite drawn out from the wall. There's probably 1.5 to 2 feet of space from the back of this bookshelf to the posters that are on the wall. It's all just angling when you look at the camera. Additionally, I have 2 other lights. These are just cheap Amazon lights. They're like $30 for 2 of them. You can control them from your phone. They light everything that's going on behind me to, once again, give yourself that fuller look. The one thing that I will caution for, and I'll get back to myself here on the screen. One thing I would caution is you want the same temperature of lights, LED all around, if that's what you're using. I don't have my house lights on that are just come with the house. You don't want to mix LED with fluorescent lights. You get weird color temperatures coming through. So that's sort of like the high-end option of what I'm rolling with. You don't need to roll that out. When I eventually move to my studio, I'm moving this camera with me, and then I will be switching to a Sony a6000 mirrorless camera with a 16 to 50 millimeter lens on it. Now, that's just a normal digital camera, but you can convert it into a streaming camera. Now, if you see Joe Holka stuff, I'm not sure about Sal, but Rick Gaiman stuff, they use the Canon version of this. I just like Sony products, so I do that, but it's all the same stuff. So you buy a tripod for it, lock it in, then you have your zoom function with it. This is sort of the middle option. Those cameras run you like between $550 and $700. So it is very expensive. Tripod's like $100. You need this connection cord in order to make it work. It's like a mini HDMI. It's a micro HDMI type D to HDMI type A cable that you plug into the camera and then plug into your system to make sure that everything can go through. That way you can get the streaming part. But you also need a dummy battery for that camera, because where it's not an actual streaming camera, what you actually need is something to replace the battery, because the battery will close the shutter almost instantaneously on that camera if you're not constantly using it. You put in the dummy battery, it basically converts this digital camera into a streaming camera. So those only cost $20 on Amazon. Just look up dummy battery. You're going to be good to go. Then you use Game Capture HD as your streaming program. You go to www.elgato.com/en/downloads. It's a free program. You download it. That's what you run your camera through. And when you join a Zoom meeting or a Skype meeting or a StreamYard or whatever it is that you use, you select Game Capture HD, and then it will just be that camera running through for you. You also need the Elgato Stream Stick as well to plug everything into, your computer to activate all of this. And if you want to switch cameras with a guest or anything like that, I use ATEM for everything. My cameras, my computer, I have ATEM. My computer, I have like $70,000 worth of equipment that goes into this stuff. And you probably don't want to start off with anything close to that. So it's an actual switching board. And camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, dissolve, cut, whatever it is that you want. Bring in your graphics. You can accomplish the rudimentary version of that with the Elgato Mini. So you go to elgato.com. You can find one where you can switch cameras, bring in graphics, set everything up in a program called OBS, and then you can see everything in front of you, what's on the screen. You can set up double boxes, triple boxes, quad boxes, whatever you want to do. You can do that with the Elgato, like the stream stick for the camera, and it's the mini switcher that you would want to use to switch your cameras if you have a guest. If not, then you just use your single camera and shoot yourself like I'm doing right now. The biggest thing with guests isn't necessarily, so if you're recording everything in-house, your quality is going to be great no matter what camera you use. That's just straight up, because you're not relying on the internet whatsoever to broadcast your feed. Once you bring in guests or you're streaming or whatever it might be, the single biggest thing isn't camera, isn't microphone, isn't lighting, it's internet quality. Hardwire yourself in to your computer. It will increase even if you're shooting in 720, your 720 camera will look better than an HD camera with bad internet. It just straight up will. It'll be clear. Like if people watch the Dogger Pass, that's Cody's biggest problem, is that he's not hardwired in. We ask him to, but it's Cody and he won't do it, or he just forgets to do it. And that decreases the quality of the stream that he sends to us. And it just looks deteriorated. Jeff, very much the same way. Keep asking him. Plug yourself in, man. Doesn't do it. So it hurts the quality of his stream. And that is the biggest fix of all. Like, Jeff has the Sony. He has an awesome camera and his stuff should look like Holka's and Rick's. It just doesn't, because the internet quality isn't up to task on that. So you have the lights, you have the soundproofing. These mats are like $20. The lights, the two, like, not the huge studio, like the three ones that are around me, you can buy a pack of those for almost nothing. And it will end up being like $100 or something like that to buy two really good quality ones. You can control the temperature of the brightness, the color. If you want it to be more yellow, you want it to be more light, whatever it might be. Those Amazon ones are controlled from an app on your phone. You can make them brighter. You can dim them down. You can change the color on them if you really want to. As you can see, it's like, oh, I'm Pat. I have that going on now. Let's turn it to blue and be super dark. We can turn it to green and see what happens with that. We can turn it to red, and I can come from you straight to hell. Super easy to do from your phone. In American money, I think it's like $25 for two of them. I have four of them, and they all sync up pretty easily. The settings that I use are actually the little thing at the top, white light, CW, and then crank it up all the way to the top. I find that gives me the most pure look as clean comes through. For your backdrop, just make it colorful and make it clean. I don't care what it is. I have this stuff because it's stuff that I like, but that's personal to me. You don't need to have that stuff. You can just have a clean black sheet. It's better than a messy room or stuff that's going on. You want to create depth in your shot. That's why I have these out from the wall, because now I'm in front of them. They're in between me and the wall, and the camera is back a little bit. It just creates layers of depth. It makes the shot look better. It helps with the lighting too. I told you about the key light in the back and the key light in the front that separates me from the back, which is lit in its own way, and these two things are lit in their own way. It just creates a better flow of the shot so everything doesn't look two-dimensional in the shot. If you check out Joe's stuff, like Joe sits very close to his wall, but you would never know because of the way that he has done the depth in his shots, moving stuff out from the wall, moving stuff back from the wall, and just having it staggered all around. It creates a real sense of space in the shot, which is what you want to do. Now, what you actually want to do, just starting out, is, I don't want to say it's like pretty easy, but it's pretty easy, to be perfectly honest with you. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to Amazon, and we're going to order you a microphone, and we're going to order you, I told you about the lights, you can get the lights, but we're going to order you a microphone and a camera. Make it super easy on yourself to do this. I got to bring up my past orders because this is generally what I supply my guests with if they are frequent contributors. The best USB mic I have found that you can get is the Audio-Technica 2020 USB Plus. The AT 2020 USB Plus, just look that up. It's a condenser USB microphone. You just plug it in and it's good to go. A lot of people use Yetis. Yetis are absolute dog shit. Do not use them. Ever. They're horrible. Horrible. The Snowball ones are even worse. This Audio-Technica one is legit. It's pricey. Like, I just bought one for one of my new contributors to the hockey show for $165 Canadian. That's like $1.20 American. It's pretty good. So I would say for the quality wise, you can get away with that right off the hop. It will sound pretty good. And where it's a condenser, you just want to record yourself at a normal level and you'll be good to go on that front. For a camera, let me pull up the exact one that I give a lot of my contributors. The issue with this camera is it's really wide lens, which I like, and because it shoots in HD, because I can push in. We use our program to push in our guests so they look relatively the same size as me in the frame when we do the 2-box. Cam is a bit of an exception because his face is just in the camera the entire time. But the one that I used is called, and it comes with a little mini tripod on it. It's a webcam that you just plug in USB. It's a Logitech HD C922 Pro Stream webcam. If you're editing your stuff after the fact, then it's going to be pretty good. To be perfectly honest, because then you can push it in. You're not going to lose resolution if you're properly lit. So you can look exceptionally clear. It's not that expensive. It's around $114 Canadian. So it's like $90 American. So $90 American for the camera, $115 for the microphone. The backlights, you probably want 2 of those. That's going to be like $25. And then you're going to have these other lights that are around. They're like $100. So all in $300, $325. So let's say a max cap of $400 American. If you want, and it'll look good. It'll look legit good. And I'll throw, like, as part of that $400, some background stuff, whether it's, like I said, one black sheet, you can get away with that. Something with a print on it. You can have stuff around to make it look clean in the background like this. I think that you would be fine going with that rudimentary setup for $400. I mean, video production is not cheap at all. Like I said, you can go from my setup, which, in grand total, like once I include my 3 cameras and have everything in, that's not even including the set, which I'm currently building, which is going to cost me like $50,000. It's like $75,000 worth of stuff just on equipment alone. This way you can get away with it if you already have a computer for $400, make stuff look pretty good. And you can always you can buy a dongle for your phone, because your phone is probably the best camera that you own. So this is an iPhone 12, I think. It's the one with the 3 camera. It's not the brand. It's not the 13. It's not the brand new one. But there's a dongle that you can buy to plug into the bottom of this. It's not this one that I have. I actually have one that I use for like web hits if I'm going to do it. So you find like one of those ring light stand, then you adjust the ring light stand, you clip in your phone to it like this, but you have the dongle coming out of it. So the dongle you can then plug into your computer, you can plug your mic into, and then plug that into the computer. So then everything will start transferring through the computer, and you'll be able to, it'll transfer through the camera. This is if you want to do like a zoom hit or something like that. And then if your Wi-Fi is not good enough, turn on the 5G on your phone. That's faster than most people's internet. You'll get a great quality. You can even buy ones with a dongle where you can charge the phone the entire time as well, and just shoot everything that way if you want to, because you can zoom and do whatever you want on your phone to frame yourself up properly. So that is a little bit of a hack if you already have a good phone. Then you don't need to buy the camera whatsoever. You can just buy that Audio Technica microphone, buy the $30 dongle, plug it into your phone, and boom, you're on your way. And then you can use the background lights and then have a stand for your phone. Those ring lights usually have an iPhone stand or an Android stand in them that you can get away with it. So those are the completely different options, different levels that you can go to get into production like this if you wanted to. I hope that helped. I saw the second part of your question. I'll answer that at a later time because I've taken up way too much of your time already, but that will do it for me. I'm Pat Mayo. Smash the like if you got a question. Go to the Pat Mayo Experience at gmail.com and leave it there. PrizePicks.com, code MMNNFL to take advantage of that deposit bonus and free $25 giveaway on the Monday Night Football game. All the cheat sheets are up on DK Nation or in the description on the Substack. You can find the injury cheat sheet and running back snap cheat sheet along with air yards, tight end shares, all of that good stuff. Please go subscribe to that as well. Thank you all for watching. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience!